What happens when the person standing behind the pulpit, preaching about love and salvation, is secretly plotting your demise? In American Black Widow, true crime authority Gregg Olsen peels back the pious facade of Rebecca Gayle Holloway, a woman who used her role as a preacher's wife to mask a chilling pattern of greed, manipulation, and murder. This is not just a story of a single crime. It is a disturbing exploration of how faith can be weaponized, how trust can be exploited, and how a predator can hide in plain sight within the most trusted institutions of society. If you think you know what a killer looks like, prepare to be deceived all over again. This audiobook takes you inside the mind of a woman who viewed marriage not as a covenant, but as a contract for life insurance payouts. The narrative centers on Rebecca's rise through the ranks of religious respectability, marrying multiple men who met untimely, suspicious deaths. Olsen meticulously reconstructs the timeline of these tragedies, revealing a pattern that law enforcement initially missed due to Rebecca's charm and social standing. She was the perfect church lady, devoted, helpful, and seemingly grieving. But beneath the surface lay a cold, calculating strategist who targeted vulnerable men, isolated them from their families, and then ensured their demise when they no longer served her financial ambitions. The audiobook narration captures the eerie duality of Rebecca's character, shifting between the warm, communal atmosphere of the church and the icy, premeditative nature of her crimes. It creates a sense of unease that lingers long after the chapter ends, forcing listeners to question how well we truly know those around us. What makes American Black Widow particularly gripping is Olsen's ability to humanize the victims while exposing the monster in their midst. He gives voice to the families who were left confused and heartbroken, wondering why their loved ones died so suddenly. Through interviews and court documents, Olsen pieces together the red flags that were ignored or explained away by Rebecca's persuasive storytelling. The book highlights the systemic failures that allowed her to operate for so long, including lack oversight of death certificates and a reluctance to suspect a woman of such violent intent. The narrator's pacing builds tension effectively, mirroring the slow dawning realization of the detectives who eventually connected the dots. It feels like watching a puzzle come together, piece by horrifying piece. Olsen also delves into the psychology of the Black Widow archetype, exploring why some women are drawn to this specific type of predatory behavior. He examines Rebecca's background, her need for control, and her complete lack of empathy. Unlike killers driven by passion or rage, Rebecca was driven by entitlement and convenience. This detachment makes her actions even more terrifying, as there was no emotional trigger to warn her victims, only a cold calculation of profit. The audiobook format allows listeners to hear the stark contrast between Rebecca's public persona and her private actions, creating a cognitive dissonance that is both fascinating and repulsive. It challenges the listener to understand the mechanics of sociopathy without excusing the horror of its results. Furthermore, the book serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of blind trust. Rebecca exploited the inherent goodness of her community, using their faith against them. She knew that people would hesitate to suspect a pillar of the church, and she leveraged that hesitation to buy time and escape scrutiny. Olsen uses this case to urge readers to remain vigilant, to ask questions, and to look beyond surface appearances. It is a reminder that evil does not always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a smile and quotes scripture. The narration emphasizes these moral lessons, turning a true crime story into a broader commentary on human nature and societal vulnerability. American Black Widow is a masterclass in investigative storytelling. Gregg Olsen has crafted a narrative that is as intellectually stimulating as it is emotionally disturbing. It exposes the dark underbelly of a seemingly ideal world, showing that danger can lurk in the most unexpected places. For fans of psychological thrillers and deep-dive true crime, this audiobook offers a compelling, well-researched, and unforgettable experience. press play and step into the shadow of the pulpit. Let Gregg Olsen guide you through the twisted path of Rebecca Gayle Holloway and discover just how deadly devotion can be when it is forged in fire and grief.